Right, let's move on then. So we're on to the last one, the ugly portion of the game. Right, so Sticko, what did you consider to be ugly in CSGO right now?
So I picked it because you guys are here, because we're all, in a way, content creators.
Where's he going with this one? Where the fuck is he going with this one? All right, come on then.
So CSGO content creation going downhill, and I'm not saying that you guys, but you guys are content creation, not your content is going downhill. But CSGO players as a pro players and organizations and TOs, obviously TOs has a little bit rough this time, but still, I think we're going in a sense that whenever I scroll even Twitch streams of CSGO, it's just bullshit there. Like, legit, there's nothing to watch besides top-tier tournaments. I don't understand how some of these streams are getting hundreds or thousands of viewers, and there's just, all they do is, like, you know, skin gambling and just playing face it in against nobodies, and there's legit no good content. Like, people could teach stuff or try to do something, bring something productive towards the scene. I mean, if you want to play and stream it, obviously you can do it, but there's so many holes in the current content landscape that could be filled easily by just someone putting a little bit of an effort in. And this is something that I'm trying to do as well as a pro player. I don't have that much time to do a full-time content creation. I want to, and I'm doing it just passively right now because I'm gathering stuff up first before I publish them. But this is something that Elish is doing really good, and he has my admiration. He's doing it pretty good. He's trying. He at least sits down and actually go through the process of creating a video, uploading it, and trying to bring something new. Other pro players, they just, want to probably, deathmatch or watch a demo. Why don't you watch a demo on the stream like I do sometimes? Like, people, I can't say how many times people actually ask something in chat. And the way when I started explaining it to them, it actually taught me something that I've never thought about before. So just teaching equals you're teaching yourself as well. This is what I learned from streams. This is what I want to show, maybe even through the platform of this podcast or this show, that this is probably a way to go for pro players as well. And it's not that hard to do. It's not that time, consuming.
I recently reevaluated my content because I think that I think that demo reviews on, like the things I used to do, like there was a period where I was getting literally over 10,000 views for all my demo reviews, and now it's just dying. Like, it's so bad now. Like, the viewership is terrible. So I'm reevaluating the space right now, and I think there's a really good point you made there in that streaming educational content might just be better than making it on YouTube, because then you have a Q&A built into it. So yes. You can do like a one-to-one educational, like just one statement, then just answer it. But I think that there's one thing that I tried looking at like other sports and things I was interested in, and I'm like, what are they doing so well that CSGO is not? And I think the narrative space right now is really lacking. And I think that a lot of people kind of tuned out in the online era. And I think oversaturation makes it harder to craft great narratives. But it's possible. So that's something I'm looking into. I'm actually writing a script for my own YouTube video right now. I spent like an hour, and I was collecting clips for it too from like desks and things, people talking about this team, because I want to do like a profiling of how this team has been for the last few years. So that should be coming out within a week for me. And I think that when I look at the space, I think that pro players don't like. There's a disconnect between what casual audiences want and what people are willing to provide right now. And I think that's kind of like, I think the best example I can look at recent history is just that F1 drive, that, what's the thing, the driving thing on Netflix? The Netflix thing. And that just boomed the sport. Like, so many of my friends got into F1 after they watched that. And I think there needs to be something similar. And it's hard to get as much like backroom footage of the teams as that show. But you can still make narrative-driven content that isn't as cheap as like call it out, like the Score Esports stuff. Like Score Esports actually does a valuable job in that they're making narrative-driven content, and it's very digestible. And
it's
I think more people
it's for casual people, of course.
Yeah, I think more people can do that, and they could put spins on it. So I'm trying to do that actually with one of mine. But yeah, what have you got on it, Thorin?
Yeah, basically, first of all, the reason you know that the Score Esports content isn't amazing is we wouldn't have to have this conversation if it was. Like, they're putting out videos every single day on all the topics you in theory want, right? If Cadian does a clutch, they're going to have a video. Is Cadian's clutch the best clutch ever? We're on Cadian's career, the up and down player. Now, if that was actually good, you'd go, brilliant, watched it, enjoyed it, now I don't need to watch. No, what happens is you watch that and you go, this is like looking at the fucking poster for a movie and never getting to watch the movie. There's no substance here. Like, I come into the movie and I leave. I don't know anything extra except he was on Mouse Sports once. So, great. Like you don't get anything. So unfortunately, like, that shows that, in my opinion, the genius of it is clickbait. You click it because you think, I want to watch this video. It's just the video isn't that good. So it shows, by the way, a good news. There is an audience for that. There are people who want that. The downside is this. They've used the YouTube algo success. So what they're getting is everyone on CSGO on YouTube. Now, that unfortunately means the vast majority of the people clicking that video don't go on CSGO Reddit. They don't go on hltv.org. They don't come on Twitter and reply to us. Like, they're basically people who are in CSGO, the esport, but unless you're a massive YouTuber, you just don't have any connections to contact them. They have to sort of like almost just wash up on the side of the beach, as it were, on your content. And you have to hope it happens. So unfortunately, right now, it's hard for anyone to sort of compete on that level. Like, they've basically got the algo sorted at this point, and they put out so much content that, I mean, it doesn't even matter. They don't even have anyone who fucking works there anymore, apparently. The videos still come out. That, by the way, probably shows your content isn't that great. If you can sack everyone who's good, just keep doing the videos and the people keep clicking, almost suggests, it's fucking a bunch of shite, isn't it? So there's that. And then I would say this, in terms of the live VOD aspect, I think you've nailed something quite clean there, actually, which is because there's a feedback mechanism. Now, I hate reading Twitch stuff, but in this case, if you're specifically trying to make the video to educate people, well, I'll tell you right now, one of the number one flaws anyone smart has. People who are smart tend to assume everyone else who's smart is as smart as them and in exactly the exact same way. And so what they don't ever explain is their own method of thinking. So what you'll find is you'll make a video, and this is most of the like pro content to teach noobs. And it's like, and then you'll stand here and you'll do this. And then I'm going, but why? And they go, see, it worked. See, you get the kill on this guy. And then if that doesn't happen, move back to here. Yeah, but why would I move back though? And then if you move back, you can also get the kill when the guy comes off. Like, you haven't explained anything. All you told me was just stand here. And if I do that, I'm like the fucking pigeon where the corn comes out when my leg was up. And I'm like, right, put my leg up, makes the corn come out. Like, you haven't given me any fucking clue. So actually, maybe the live feedback element would help you. You'd realise, oh, right, they need me to explain that. Because what you often find, by the way, is there are fundamental principles a casual fan just doesn't even have, that you're going to have to break that down before you can even explain a nuance. And then the other thing I would just say on that is basically, I think your point you hit on there as well, Sticko, is actually a very shrewd one about life. It's not just about CS, obviously, which is basically, it was actually the great Norwegian player Element who told me this in an interview, and he's such a great point. He said basically in life, because he'd done this in Counter-Strike, you need to, at all times in life, try to have these three relationships going on. You need to have a mentor that you can learn things from, who can use their experience to help you. You're then going to be the mentee of that mentor. So because you're his mentee, he now has to think about how he does things to explain it to you. In doing so, even though you're just learning from him, you need to have a mentee, someone you're the mentor of. Because to actually know that you understand what your mentor taught you, you need to be able to explain it to the guy below you. Otherwise, the information isn't actually passing. It's just coming from one guy who had a good point. You're in your brain going, great idea, but you don't understand it. And then you can't transmit it to the other guy. Like, basically, if you keep that cycle, the spoiler is, that was actually how, like, Western civilization worked for thousands of years, essentially. It used to be your dad, essentially. He taught you the family business, then you teach your son. That was actually basically the way all crafts retained a high level of technique and competence. Countries like Japan probably still do this to this day, I'm guessing, on certain subjects. It's basically the reason why you can pass super levels of competence down familial lines. Unfortunately, now we just have industries and we just ruin that concept completely. So even though it sounds like a really abstract point, I actually think that's a key part of what people don't understand, Sticko, is like, even if you understand it on some level, to explain it to another person, I know this from making content myself, it's sometimes only when you go to explain it, you're like, actually, why am I fucking this up? Maybe I don't really understand how I'm explaining this. And you have to go and do your homework again, and like rethink what you're going to explain.
Yeah, you break down it for yourself, and you're just trying to you're in the head already, like creating conversation with someone who doesn't understand it. So when I do these things live on stream, it's not me teaching someone something really easy to comprehend. It's me teaching them my philosophy of the game. And I'm okay with sharing that with others because no player has the same philosophy. Even if they're on the same page, everyone has a little bit different view in certain situations. So I don't mind giving it up because no one will look at the stream and I'm like, oh, I have to think like him, because it doesn't work that way. You have to, like, it comes from, like, you know, your birth. You start developing as a person when you're a child, when you're a teenager, when you start playing competitive for the first time, and then it evolves you into your philosophy that you bring to your team, and some teams value it, some teams don't. You as well, if you do it live on Twitch, you build your brand. You can upload it to YouTube, something that a lot of people are neglecting. I've mentioned this multiple times on multiple occasions. Players are neglecting their own social media, their brand, their name, and this is something that orcs, when they hire these players to play for them, this is something it all goes into account of, you know, you can negotiate a better deal, you can land a better gig, you can eventually, if you retire as a pro player, it opens you a door into a whole nother level as, you know, content creator. You can get analyst job, you can work as a tournament organizer of some kind. It gives you so much leverage as a backdoor, and it literally takes so little of your time. It's insane. All I do, for example, for the videos that you mentioned, Maui, in the beginning with the comms and everything, all I do is hit the one button on my keyboard that clips the last 2 minutes of what
shadow
happened.
play.
Yeah, the shadow play. And it's instantly in my computer, and then I send it to people that edit it, and it takes for them, it takes, for example, I don't know, 2 hours. I can do it myself. It's probably, if I would learn it myself, it would take a few days of, you know, just digging into it, and and then I would do it myself. But it legit takes nothing, and it's just free content that you can keep pumping up. For example, for these POV videos that I do on my YouTube, all I hit is a record on a camera. That's all I do. And then I send it to someone that doesn't even need to edit it, because it's already, you know, there's nothing to edit. He just cuts out the boring parts. He just goes through it once, cuts out the boring parts. It's a 10-minute video, upload it to YouTube. It's already a content that I'm not doing anything, in a sense. And a lot of other people or players can do this. And what I'm trying to say with this bad thing, content going downhill, if we put a little effort, it could be so much better and more powerful, more meaningful for not only casual viewers but also pro players. And I want to teach semi-pro players to become pros, and pro players to become better pro players, and casual gamers to, you know, even think about going pro or semi-pro, because this is a career that it's not just, you're not just playing the game. I want to explain my lifestyle, my routines, my habits, my productivity system, my anti-stratting, my personal, you know, schedule of a day, how it works, so I become more productive. This is something that is very important for me. A lot of people neglect it, if not all players.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.